Hello, everyone. It is Monday, September 15th, and I hope you are all doing well. We wanted to talk about a few subjects tonight. Anon, my Florida and Illinois family court case, and then, of course, my oldest daughter, Ariana. So, Pete, you kind of saw a little bit of information about the Anon, and you kind of heard the meeting I was in tonight, Monday, from 6 to 7 Eastern. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a good resource for people. It's as a support group. There's not a lot of support groups out there specifically for people who are in this situation where they've been abused by the family court system and their previous relationships. So I know tonight the presenter was going over quite a bit about PTSD and how that impacts people and how they react to things.
So, for those of you that don't know, Anon stands for toxic abusive relationships, and STAR stands for survivors of toxic abusive relationships. And my ex-husband Justin Serlick is absolutely a very toxic and abusive individual. I lived with him since I was 18 years old in 1999. And in 2020, so after 21 years of dealing with his control and abuse and manipulation, I finally had enough, and I told him that my children and I were no longer going to live with him. And that's how the last 5 years started. Me telling my ex-husband that I divorced in 2013 that my children and I were no longer going to be living with him and allowing him to abuse us any longer. And his mother and father found a way through connections in Illinois Circuit 19 and Florida Circuit 7 to allow this abuse to continue the last 5 years. So I actually was introduced to Anon last Wednesday by Dave Weigel's Wednesday group. So thank you, Dave, for bringing Anon into that meeting, because I definitely feel like this is going to be a godsend for me, as well as all the other survivors of this type of abuse out there, as well as family court. So a lot of the topics today in the Monday meeting I was in really hit home, and I quite literally felt like that meeting was specifically for me. That's how close to home it hit. So if you have not already looked into Anon, if any of that sounds like something you'd be interested in to help you on this healing journey, it is a 12-step process, just like Al-Anon, all that. So definitely look into it. I will share the links after this live. I've been sharing their Facebook, etc. I wish I knew about Anon a lot earlier than last Wednesday. I really do. So again, thank you, Dave Weigel, for introducing us to that, as well as Dr. Jamie, who was running the meeting tonight. So I appreciate you. Do you think that that's going to be beneficial to my healing process?
I think any sort of recovery programs will add a benefit. There's obviously you've been through a lot, and there's still a long road to healing to come, and ultimately you won't be able to truly completely heal until your family is healed, and you're able to reestablish relationships with your children. So in the meantime, being able to take advantage of different resources that help you process what's happened to you and give you positive, coping techniques, and also just showing that, you're not alone, that there's other people going through the same thing, I think is a great help. Just in the last, year, since we've started getting connected with other people and in the family court circus, when finding out that you were not alone, you didn't have a unique situation, as much as it sucks that your situation's not unique, because that means a ton of other people are going through the same hell that you've been going through. It took some weight off your shoulders, personal weight that you were carrying.
Yeah.
That your eyes have sort of been opened up, that, there was, the reality is, I don't think there was anything you could have done that would have had a different outcome, because the CPS and family court systems are so corrupt, that they're so focused on making money, and they make money. For anybody who's new to this, they make money from federal Medicare or Medicaid grants, where the CPS agencies and
Title 4D.
foster parents and state agencies that support them, they get money from the federal government for every kid that they're able to put into the system. This has been going on for decades. It's not new. What is new is more and more people are finding out about it because of new media, social media. It's easier for people to connect. It's easier for people to tell their stories. I mean, 10 years ago, podcasts were starting out, but I never would have imagined having our own podcast.
Right.
And here we are. I mean, look at this. We're sitting here, professional setup to record podcasts. We've got, all the equipment. We're actually doing a live broadcast right now. We've got the technology here where we can, switch back to us, and that's something that 10 years ago, the average person out there wouldn't be able to have done anything like this. But now, not only are we recording to Facebook Live, you'll flip this around when you beam it out on your podcast platform, and it actually broadcasts out to every single major podcasting service. So the audio from this will be available on Spotify, Amazon
Apple.
Music, Apple Music,
Audible.
I'm addicted
and then
to
Audible.
Then you'll repost the video on YouTube. So there will be video on YouTube, and then it will also have the audio on YouTube podcasts.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild what we're able to do nowadays as far as spreading the word.
It's definitely a long journey from when I was a kid watching my grandfather record himself as if he was a radio talk show host on cassettes with a microphone. Pete listened to a few of my grandpa's cassette tapes. One of them was from when I was like 4 years old, so we heard tiny Heather talking to my grandpa. And then another one was when I was 12 during the teacher strike when I was in middle school. So it was definitely interesting to listen to those cassette tapes after 30-something years and recognize that my grandpa really enjoyed radio.
Yeah, he
So
was
here I
essentially
am.
he was essentially podcasting, and I think we might
Right?
just do it like a special episode where we play some of those tapes.
Yeah.
Just every once in a while, when anybody's going through this stuff, you need to be able to just separate out, enjoy your present life, have some fun, set the family court stuff aside, and just live in the moment. And that's something me and Heather both take to heart. We try actively, to celebrate the wins when we have wins. The past couple weeks we've had a lot to celebrate. We haven't been able to tell everything
Been
to
super
everybody.
busy.
But we've both been crazy busy, both essentially starting work in new locations, trying to get our working environments. Both of us were decorating our new environments. So I moved into a new office, Heather into a new classroom, and
A big classroom, a lot of real estate to cover. So
Yeah.
I've been spending the last week and a half trying to decorate the room so that kids aren't staring at just 4 blank walls.
No, and you shared it. You recorded a video in your classroom today of just walking around and showing the different decorations you've been able to put up, and it's really starting to look like a. Or have we said the subject publicly?
I have not.
Okay.
No, I've just been calling it science, high school science.
It's definitely looking like a science classroom, but specifically to the specific subject you're teaching. So it's looking pretty cool.
Yeah. So I might as well just come forward and say what subject it is, because I never in a million years, being from Chicagoland, who specializes in Lake Michigan,
which is basically the ocean. So
no salt.
Look, I've seen it. It looks just like the ocean, but there's no waves.
It really does look just like the ocean, but it's freshwater and it's glacial water. But no, I am teaching marine biology with a Earth/space SOE that Florida Department of Education verified my transcript as a geoscientist. And marine biology is, of course, has everything to do with the planet and the marine animals. So it falls right into my educational background in geoscience. And right now, I've been talking to my high schoolers about climate change here in Florida.
Yeah, but the most important question, are you able to teach your students the trick to know if there's sharks in the water? Do you know this trick?
Probably not.
So if you take
yourself?
No. If you take a spoon and you go out to the beach and you just get a spoonful of water and you taste it, if it's salty, there's sharks.
Get out of here. Yeah.
Well, do you know how to know if there's alligators in the water here in Florida?
If there's a puddle of water, there's an alligator.
Well, if you take your hand and you feel the water, if it feels wet, there's probably an alligator in it.
Okay. Yeah, but no, right now we're talking about biotic versus abiotic. Hurricanes, I ended last week with talking about the last year and a half with the hurricanes, Helene, Milton, the remnants of Tropical Storm Barry in Texas. And then Aaron, that was our first hurricane of the 2025 season. So I've been obsessed with hurricanes since a little kid, hurricanes, tornadoes. I've been studying them since 2004 when I started my associate in science in geology.
We've got a special guest that just wants to be part of the video today.
Yes, so this is Tiger. This is Willow's son.
He is not a marine mammal, but he likes to think he can be.
He's a puppy cat. He acts like a puppy, but he's a cat buddy. So I have just been having fun getting this massive classroom organized and cleaned up and looking like an actual science classroom where we're learning all things science. And it's been a blast getting everything decorated and watching the kids interact with me as I'm decorating it right in front of them. Typically at the beginning of the school year, the teachers come in a week or two early and decorate it before the kids even see it. So they saw the before and the after. So I think it's really neat for all of us to do that together. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, but that also means I've been crazy busy.
Yeah.
So, and you've been doing what?
So I was given an opportunity to move into or take over an office, a different office for my company. It's much closer to our house. I think it takes me like 5 to 7 minutes to drive to the office. But the company I work for, the person who was in that office, she had moved to Orlando and had an opportunity to take over an office closer to where she lives. So it opened up the office here, and they asked me if I wanted to take it. So I said, sure, I would love my own office. So I moved into the office about 2 weeks ago. Well, no, I guess it was last week. Everything's been a blur. Has it been?
It was last week, yeah. The same time I switched from this small classroom to this really large classroom was the same day that you switched offices.
So basically last week, I was in there trying to get situated. The other, my other 2 coworkers last week, they were, transitioning out of that office. So it was, they were going through cleaning stuff up and getting their stuff packed up and moved out. And then once, they were completely out Friday. Heather came over to the office with me, and she sat and graded papers to keep me company while I cleaned the office, did the new door decal, got my stuff hung up. So, all my degrees and certificates and all of that so the office is actually starting to feel like my own.
When is your ribbon cutting?
On September 30th, Tuesday at 2 p.m., we're going to do a ribbon cutting. So that'll all be on the Facebook page for my business, which I'm not allowed to mention during the podcasts for compliance purposes.
No
I've probably
financials.
said enough at this point, but it's been really cool having my own office and trying to get it to feel like my own space. And we're starting to get there. I've ordered some new or some additional decorations and signs, and ordered a coffee maker. So it's starting to be the office I want it to be. And it's just a great opportunity for me here. So I'm gonna take advantage of it. I don't think I've left the office before 5:30 since I started working in there,
No.
and I was in there Saturday and Sunday.
You got plenty to keep you busy in that office.
Yeah. So anyways, so that's what we've been up to with work. But obviously this podcast has a more serious topic that we discuss. And there's been, not a ton of movement in your Florida cases, but we do want to update.
Let's start with Florida.
Okay.
So what's happening with Florida? So we've got this first appeal in Florida District 5 Court of Appeals, where I submitted my initial brief, and then Justin Serlick was supposed to reply to that initial brief. And did he ever reply?
I think when you check the docket, there was no sign of a response.
Imagine that.
So
he doesn't know how to write or defend himself. He literally just sits there and lets Mary and Iris Serlick pull all the illegal strings behind the scenes. And has now put me in the position that I'm in with my new job. So what came in the mail today?
The Department of Revenue sent you another nice little, hey, we love to take your money letter.
Yeah, we'd love to take $1,785 a month of your teacher's pay, where I make barely a livable wage here in Florida because everything is insanely expensive to live down here. So I'm not sure if I'm going to even have enough to cover my gas money after that starts. But this all stems from the November 19th, 2024 contempt order that Judge Stasia Warren signed behind my back.
Yeah, without reviewing financials, which here's the law. It's crazy that you expect that the judges actually know the law and would follow the law. Well, the law regarding child support here in Florida says they must consider the person's ability to pay.
You cannot be, even
so
Stasia Warren said, I can't hold her in contempt.
You can't just
she's not in contempt.
The law doesn't allow the court to just blindly say, okay, I think you should pay this much, without actually considering the financials of the person and their ability to pay. And what we witnessed firsthand was this 75-year-old judge who was
caught them red-handed.
leading, was weeks away from forced mandatory retirement, just signed a proposed order because the other attorney submitted it to her.
And I'd love to know where they got that $1,785 from, because
they just made it up because there was, Heather has submitted her financial affidavit multiple times.
Twice.
At the time, where were you working?
when that contempt order was signed?
Yeah.
I was not working.
Okay,
I
and
was
why-
still in full-time
Yeah.
treatment for a car accident I was in April 15th of 2024.
So there was literally no ability to pay at that time.
3 days a week I was going to physical therapy, but somehow they managed
not only
to slap me with a $1,785 a month
Yeah, so there was
contempt order,
the
and
$785.
then got the DOR.
$785 a month is what the Illinois court ordered, and
On that
we'll get to that. But
three-page order.
then they just here in Florida they tacked on an additional $1,000 a month, just because they
plucked a number out of
decided
thin
they
air.
could. So
Yeah. Because, my children are not humans in their eyes. My children are pieces of property that they view as an income. And that's not how this works. It is insanely disgusting what Justin, Mary, and Ira Serlick are doing to my 4 children. And if there is a heaven or hell, they are going to hell. There is no saving them. I don't know how I'm supposed to pay for my gas when I'm paying Justin to continue holding my children ransom.
Yeah, and here's the crazy part, right? So you haven't even actually received a full paycheck, full pay period, because you just started.
I just started. I haven't even been there for
you don't
3
even
full
you don't
weeks.
even know what you'll be making per paycheck. So to get that letter where they're just arbitrarily, we're going to take this much money. And
this is
my
all
understanding
part
is
of their
there's
plan.
There's supposed to be I thought we had been told this before, but there's supposed to be a percentage cap that they're limited on taking. It has to say below
so
a
it's
cap.
on the back of that letter. It's 50% garnishment if you are supporting a child or your spouse. If not, it's 60% garnishment. So 60% of my income is going to go straight to my abuser, my rapist, my children's abuser, who is withholding any and all contact between my children and I.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So
let them-
I'm paying him ransom, but not even getting to speak to my kids on the phone.
Not on the phone, not email, no email, no text message, no Facebook Messenger, nothing.
Nothing. They stole my children from me and are using them as pieces of property to make money off of them through me.
And
So basically it went from Illinois making money off of my kids and trafficking them to now Justin, Mary, and Ira are using them to make money as well.
And what has happened every time you have established some means of communicating with any of the kids?
The moment any of the adults, so Justin, Mary, and Ira, find out, they squash it immediately. I have found ways to communicate with my kids through social media platforms. They figured it out and squashed it. I have found ways to visit with my children at Volusia County schools. They found out about that and squashed that. They are going out of their way to make sure I have zero contact with my children so they can continue lying to them.
And just for anybody that's new to Heather's case, I want to point out, no court, whether it be Florida, Illinois, or any other state, has ever found Heather unfit. There has never been any termination of parental rights hearing.
Nope.
This is something
TPR.
This is something that has been common with family courts across the nation that we've come across many other examples where judges will issue these orders where they give
Ex
one
parte
parent
void ab initio orders.
but the order itself gives one parent 100% decision making time, the sun, stars, moon, everything. The other parent has nothing. And the way the system is, the courts will tell you, well, if there's no meaningful change in circumstances, we can't change that order.
Yeah.
But
except no court order is permanent, set in stone. They can all be modified.
Yeah.
They can all be altered. They can all be changed. It's these family court judges that are purposely not doing what they should be doing because they're being bribed through the back door.
Now, question for you, because everybody talks about parental rights. We see it a lot in the news, specifically for like education, and I bring this up because you are an educator now. Mm-hmm. But parental rights as we have found, actually have protections. What are
Yes.
what are parental rights considered? What kind of rights are they?
Being able to have meaningful contact and visitation with them, being involved in their education and their religious upbringing, making day-to-day decisions.
But I was thinking more along the lines of the constitutional rights.
Oh, so that's going to be your 14th Amendment under the U.S. Constitution. Troxel Granville in 2020.
Don't ask me the years.
I want to say 2021 was Troxel Granville. Yeah. The U.S. Supreme Court said that under the 14th Amendment of our U.S. Constitution, if you are a biological parent and you have never had your rights lawfully terminated, you have protections under the Constitution of this United States.
Yeah. So basically, parental rights are constitutional rights. And, what we have seen when these courts issue these orders where they're, just giving one party 100% everything and the other party has never been found unfit. There's never been an official termination of parental rights hearing, which that's something we learned about when we were doing our foster parent training.
Yeah.
We learned about the ins and outs of the system.
And that was the whole reason we did all that. We wanted an inside perspective of exactly how this is supposed to work.
Well, it wasn't the only reason we were doing it.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. As someone who had my children
but it was
trafficked
definitely
by
it was definitely
DCF.
eye-opening. And our experience, seemed that Florida was like the actual DCF and foster parent system here in Florida was definitely a different monster than what Heather experienced in Illinois. Florida has changed. Florida's one of a few states that have actually changed their process to actually make it fairer for the actual parents. At least that's what it seemed. We don't know.
That would involve the actual circuit family court judges to actually follow the Florida Supreme Court laws that they've passed.
Yeah, well, that's
so there can be a law in
case.
Place, but that doesn't mean any of the judges are actually going to follow it.
Yeah,
because they're all criminals.
Yeah, as we have seen, and it's not just Heather's judge. Obviously, we've connected with some other folks recently. We've gone to court watch in some other courts in different circuits.
Florida Circuit 18.
And we've seen the same thing happening in those other courts. So where it's the judges, what a lot of people, if you're not familiar with the family court system in this country, what the most important thing, if you can take away one piece of knowledge from this podcast tonight, is that there is absolutely zero meaningful oversight of family court judges.
It's the wild, wild west. They just do whatever they want.
There is no official record of the proceedings because they don't allow court reporters unless one of the parties pays for it. To pay for a court reporter, it gets into the thousands of dollars.
You need to be wealthy. I mean, this system is literally rigged against lower income families.
You need to have won the Powerball.
For the wealthy.
So there's no record. They even though the courtrooms are all equipped with video and audio recording, they refuse to use it.
I honestly think at this point,
when they do digital Zoom hearings, they refuse to hit the little button that records it automatically through Zoom.
I honestly think at this point, even if there was a law in Florida that all videos and audio need to be recorded, I don't think they'd do it anyways. It would need to be like automatic where they don't have the option to turn it off because these judges are willing to walk all over our U.S. constitutional rights, violating a plethora of state and federal laws. They're criminals.
Really, what's
They're not
happened?
Going to follow the laws.
What's happened is judges over the past decades have made up their own laws and procedures. They've made up their own, basically given themselves authority that they really don't have.
It's abuse of power.
Florida has just about the most open public records, state laws in the nation. And the fact that there's still courts in Florida that don't have an official record of proceedings. So like Heather's had multiple hearings in Daytona, in person, multiple on Zoom. There's almost no official record of those hearings.
And that's why they think they can be tyrants in black robes that just walk all over us, and they feel like we just have to put up with it and do as they say. And I've had enough of it. So I was protesting. I was out with some other victims here in Florida at the Daytona Courthouse, and then we went over to the Florida 5th District Court of Appeals. That is literally kitty corner. You can see one building from the other, so you know they all go to lunch together. They all play golf together, and they all protect each other.
Part of it too, with when we went over in front of the 5th DCA, was honestly it was just a busier intersection. You had two major cross streets there, as opposed to in front of Circuit 7, where it's just the causeway going to the bridge or going over beachside. But I will say, as you know, I went to the protest to help support you.
Was that your first protest?
Probably.
I popped your protest cherry.
But it was. Look, here's the thing. I know you spent some time trying to get it organized here in the Daytona area. We went out there. We had no idea if anybody else would show up, but you had your sign, and albeit you were going to be out there, even if nobody else was. And I was surprised. You had 5 women showed up to hold signs.
I can't remember his name, but a man showed up that does independent investigative reporting or something like that.
Yeah, he's a local reporter. Mark Dickinson came by, took a couple pictures, and. Like I said, some of the signs were definitely getting attention. I think we all unanimously
Judges
decided
are criminals.
the crystal sign that said "Judges are criminals." That definitely got the most attention. A lot of people honking and giving thumbs up. So, a lot of people saw them out there holding the signs. A couple people walked by to read the signs. There's one guy came up asking what they were out there protesting for. So we had ready-made flyers, press releases. So we gave him one of those. And I think you heard him, or somebody heard him as he was walking away, mention that he was an attorney himself. Yeah. Whether he was a family law attorney, whether he was a state attorney, we don't know. But together. They all know each other at some level. Yeah. So.
They all work together.
But it was interesting. And again, that was really just the Daytona protest was just a small part of a nationwide protest over those 3 days.
St. Louis did a phenomenal job. They managed to get on the news.
Yeah.
I'm still working on trying to get Orlando news reporters involved. Yeah. They have been reading my emails. I've got read receipts.
What's happened specifically in the St. Louis area is they made national news a few weeks back when a Zoom meeting between a bunch of
No. That happened years ago.
Oh, that was
like 2 or 3 years ago.
But it just got brought out public.
So I actually saw that video, I want to say a year or two ago. So I knew something was happening in St. Louis, but it's now become a lot bigger, and it's being shared all over the platforms.
So what happened is a bunch of guardian ad litem. Now these are attorneys that represent children for the state of they're supposed to represent kids, but they work on behalf of the state or on behalf of themselves, really. They were on a Zoom video call, and somebody recorded it and saved it and then released it to the public. And basically that's, they were discussing cash for kids. They were literally discussing how to launder money, set up, LLCs, bank accounts so that, you're not directly connected to the money trail. It was wild stuff. And these people are still employed as guardian ad litems. Some of them, I'm sure.
They should be in prison.
But that's
Federal prison.
But because of that video and then the publicity that it got, some of the news stations in St. Louis seem to have a little bit more leeway and flexibility to actually cover the story. So they did report on the protests, and then we know the actual protest. Dave Weigel up in New York, he spent a boatload of money out of his own pocket to have a massive electronic billboard out on Long Island, my old stomping ground, except I was on the North Shore. They put the billboard down on the South Shore to get all of the powerful people trying to get their last weekend of summer out in the Hamptons. They had to drive by and see.
Yeah. And then during the protest and then after the protest, Dave was literally live on Facebook, nonstop interviewing people. He interviewed me.
He interviewed there's, I think 4 of you were still, or 3 of you were still there at the end when he interviewed you.
No, so you're thinking of the actual interview at the protest.
Yeah.
So Dave connected with us during the protest, but then I forget what night it was this week. Or last week. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh, see, a lot of the days and
the
blend
last
together.
week and
It's
a
been
half
a blur.
have been kind of crazy. But yeah, so Dave pulled me in, just me, and I was talking to him about my children and I situation and my motivation to educate U.S. citizens across the nation on their constitutional rights, so they know that this is not normal. What they're doing to us is not legal in any way. So the more of us that speak up and educate the general public, the more aware our country is going to be with what's actually happening in CPS and family court corruption crisis. It's very apparent that the mainstream medias, so the corporate media stations, are not going to cover it until it's at the point where they don't have a choice but to cover it. So it is up to us as U.S. citizens to start doing things like this, podcasts, getting on all the social media, getting loud. So that's what a lot of us have taken to. We're getting loud, we're going to protests, we're educating the public, and we're exposing these criminals that are acting as judges. So we talked about my Florida case.
I was going to say, let's move on to Illinois.
So my Illinois case.
There's really not much has happened in that since the last update. Obviously,
just they're not allowing my court watchers in still.
Well, we've the last
systematically removing them as soon as they say they're there to support me.
Yeah, but we covered that in one of our prior lives. Right. We held right after the last Zoom hearing you had, where we did update. So there is an upcoming actual hearing in that case, October 8th.
Yep, at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Via Zoom.
I'm sorry. No, that's right. 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time via Zoom. And it was originally supposed to be in person, but
no. They were originally only. Well, the judge was requiring everybody to be in person, which means since you're representing yourself, you would have had to be in person. And then
she even told them that Justin would have to be there. I was going to say,
yeah. So Justin's attorney tried to
not an attorney on record for the case that it's involving.
He tried to request that the judge allow Justin to participate via Zoom in Florida. And basically with that, it opened it up where the judge didn't have any choice but to allow Heather to participate via Zoom. So we'll obviously, once that happens, we'll let you know. But I don't want to get into too much detail about that, just in case somebody else. We don't want other people to be able to prepare the case against you for that hearing. So we don't want to share some stuff. You have to hold close to the vest.
The point of October 8th is, guys, I absolutely would love and need people to attempt to court watch. And when you're attempting to court watch, you need to actually turn your camera on and record what you're witnessing. Actually hold it to the Zoom. So when the clerk actually says, "Who are you here for?" and you say Heather Bendel 20F422, and then you get kicked out, it's all on recording.
Yeah, but that being said, also, if there is anybody that can actually get to the Lake County, Illinois courthouse in Waukegan, Illinois. And it's, do you know what courtroom it is?
Courtroom 105, C105.
So if anybody can actually go there
Judge Melius
in person, to court watch. Obviously, Heather and Justin, and will be via Zoom. Whether or
'Cause we're
not
here in Florida.
whether or not Justin's attorney will be in person, we don't know. But this will be the first time since this started that Heather will actually have an opportunity to address the court that created Heather's situation.
That stole my children and sold them to the abusive non-custodial parent, and has then been using these court documents to manipulate the situation for 5 years now. 5 years this has been going on.
Yeah.
So
Let me be clear, because I know you've faced some pushback from other people online and some of the terminology you use about what happened and about the saying the court sold your children to Florida. So what you're referring to that is essentially that they go to the wealthiest party in the case, and in this case, Justin, thanks to his parents,
not
hired
him, his mommy and daddy
thanks to
are
his parents,
financing all of it.
Thanks to his parents, they hired a high cost attorney or law firm in Illinois. You had been bled dry financially, and ended up by this point in the case, you were representing yourself with no law degree, no legal education, didn't have the help of some of the resources available on the internet now.
Right.
And so you stood zero chance in court back then.
No.
Now,
and that's how this has been. Everyone's like, how has this been going on for 5 years? How is this possible? This is why. They literally drain you and deplete you financially, spiritually, and emotionally, and even physically, because it's all tied together.
Yeah.
They drain you of everything, so there's nothing left but a shell of who you used to be. And
they hope they get you to that point where you will no longer continue to fight, and you'll just go away.
Yeah, you'll
and
just either stop fighting and give up, become a drug addict, whatever, or end up committing suicide. That's what a lot of people are being pushed to do, is to kill themselves. Yeah. And this is a crime against humanity. It is absolutely crimes against humanity.
It really is, and the judges like to sit there on their benches in their black robes and say, well, it's not my fault. I didn't do this. But they actively refuse to accept and ignore any responsibility, even when they are responsible for things. I was with you in some of your court hearings here in Florida with both Judge Warren and Judge Upchurch. And, when you were raising the true, absolute, documented fact that your children are absolutely failing in their educational pursuits here in Florida.
1.0 GPA, extreme unexcused absences, suspensions,
the judges,
vape use.
Both judges just said, essentially, well, too bad.
Didn't say anything. That was the problem. They didn't say anything.
Well, Judge Upchurch did chastise Justin a little bit.
After she kicked me out of the courtroom,
but she said she
would have never done that in front of me.
She was concerned about Tommy's, grades.
I don't think
and
concerned
attendance
is the right word. I think she's being paid to not be concerned.
Well, here's the thing. If you're concerned, how long does it have to go on? That's my question. How long does a minor child, have to be failing their classes? And when I'm saying classes, I don't mean like have one F.
No,
like
1.0 overall GPA.
All of their classes, they are failing, not passing. They have an ungodly number of unexcused absences. How many years does that have to continue before the judges realize it is their fault for allowing it to continue?
Yeah. No, Sandra C. Upchurch of Daytona, Florida is absolutely one of my children's abusers. She is absolutely abusing my children and neglecting my children under the oath she took
'Cause
to be a family court judge.
I just want to like remind people, and I'm sure some people are going to listen to this and they don't really know your background. And I know earlier in the podcast we were talking about it, but if anybody that just joined, you are literally a public school science teacher.
With 243
you have been vetted.
students.
You have been vetted by the state of Florida Department of Education. You have been vetted by, at this point, 3 different school districts have vetted you and offered you positions where they've done full background checks on you. You're able currently in your job, you are in charge of over 240 students.
Yep, 9th through 12th grade. So it's not just one grade. I've got freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors throughout all 6 of my class periods.
But Judge Sandra Upchurch of Circuit 7 Court in Daytona Beach, Florida, is allowing the situation to continue where your minor children are failing. And I say minor children, Tommy turns 18 next month.
Yeah, October 29th.
So that leaves Bianca and Charlie. Now, Charlie's an awesome little kid. I did have the opportunity to meet him and talk with him when we were able to visit him at his school. But Bianca, your 14-year-old.
Yeah, she'll be 14 October 25th. So 3 of my 4 children have birthdays today, and then 2 in October, and then Charlie.
Have you checked her grades recently?
I have not.
So
honestly, because at this point, every time I check them, I want to cry or throw my phone through a wall. There's really no one emotion or the other, because it's either I am just so heartbroken that this is what's become of my children because of illegal connections between the Serlick family, Michael G. Nurheim, Stasia Warren, Sandra Upchurch, Florida Department of Revenue, Alan Holt is clearly working for them. It is absolutely heartbreaking to see my children continue to suffer because of this.
And it
but
really
then at the
is,
same time, I'm angry at my ex-husband knowing that he is intentionally doing this to them.
Yeah.
He is intentionally allowing this to continue.
There is no excuse.
No.
This is, when I observed in the court hearings, he would make comments about how he's just doing the best that he can as a single parent.
No.
Well, newsflash, Justin. And Justin, if you're
commenting on your drug TikTok,
Justin, if you watch this video, if you listen to me talking now, I want you to understand something. You are choosing to be a single parent by yourself. You are choosing not to co-parent. You are choosing to block all access to Heather, the children's mother. What's heartbreaking is I have seen the pictures and home videos of the kids and Heather before all hell broke loose 5 years ago. I've had the opportunity to meet and talk to 2 of the kids, Ariana, the oldest, and Charlie, the youngest. And I want to be clear again, in meeting with Charlie, who was 7 when we met him.
Yeah.
He was so aware of what was actually going on. It was disturbing. He knew exactly why he wasn't allowed to see his mom.
We just literally said, do you know what has happened the last few years? And he said, yeah, Dad won't let us see you.
And he knows. One of the last things he said in that meeting was that he had a suitcase, or he already had a suitcase, so he was ready to come visit you. So you have the kids that want to have their mother Heather in their life, and Justin and his parents are bending over backwards to do absolutely everything in their power to force Heather away from the children, and we know, and
then become an ATM for their loser son that likes to beat women and children.
We know that they have. Again, this is one of those terms that some people, criticize the use of, but they have alienated your children from you. Mm-hmm. We know that because you were able to get a letter from Bianca passed through Charlie. So we were meeting
And
Charlie at his
she
elementary school. He went home. He told his sister, "Hey, mom came and
passed
saw
Bianca
me.
a note.
Here's a note from mom." Bianca wrote something back, gave it to Charlie. So the next time you saw Charlie, you were able to get the note from Bianca.
Yeah. And that note made it very clear she's being lied to about a lot of stuff. Very clear. There is no question about it. I don't care if you believe in the term parental alienation or not. Parental alienation is domestic abuse by proxy.
And let me be clear, because there's the reason that term gets a bad rap is back when the term first was released, it was used in the whole term was parental alienation syndrome.
Yeah.
And it was used as
3 words.
It was used as a means to allow courts to remove children from good parents. And because, the good parents were actually parenting the kids, and the kids were thriving, and the kids didn't want to go with the bad parent. So the bad parent says, "Your Honor, they're alienating me," or they've got parental alienation syndrome. And then the court would step in and take the kids.
So basically, it was a great way of saying the domestic violence victim is crazy without using the word crazy. So when you hear parental alienation syndrome, it's actually the opposite of what is happening to my children. So parental alienation syndrome is when the victim makes the statement that the abuser is abusing the victim and the kids. The abuser then turns around and says, "She's alienating me from my kids because she's calling me an abuser." That's not what's happening in my situation.
No, what's happening in your situation is they are telling the kids, you put them up for adoption in Illinois. You abandoned them. You didn't want them.
I'm choosing to live with another family. I've heard so many things over the years between all of my kids.
You're going to kidnap them if you see them.
I drove off with them from Florida back up to Illinois. Let me be clear, we were never residents of Florida. We were always Illinois residents, and my children were actually in school in Illinois still, just virtually.
And at that time, you had sole custody from your original divorce.
But in some of the paperwork, you can actually see where Justin, Mary, and Iris Serlick twisted the narrative to say I kidnapped the children and drove them back up to Illinois. I can't kidnap the children that I have full custody of.
Yeah. So anyways, we've gotten kind of down into a dark rabbit hole with Heather's case. I know you did want to finish up because we're coming up here on an hour. So there was one final thing you wanted to bring up. And
I've been talking about it all day. It was incredibly healing for me to talk to all of my students about my oldest daughter, Ariana Lorelei, who turned 19 today. It is her 19th birthday. So happy birthday, Ariana. I hope someday you and I can, come to some sort of repair in our relationship, and you can see the full picture of what has been done to you the last 5 years. I love you so incredibly much. It took years to get pregnant with you. I went through miscarriage after miscarriage, fertility treatment after fertility treatment until I finally had you. So to go through that level of desire to want to have my own children and then see what you've been through the last 5 years is gut-wrenching, and I don't even know how to apologize enough for my choice to allow Justin Serlick to continue living with us all these years after I divorced him. I feel like once you start to get the full picture of what has been happening the last 5 years, a lot of things just before this occurred will start to make a lot more sense to you as you get older. There are banker's boxes full of court documents that are public record that you absolutely have access to whenever you want. Now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whenever you want them, they are there for you. I've got multiple copies of all the court documents that are public record for the entire world to see. So when you are ready, I hope that you will come see me, come talk to me, so we can start working on repairing our relationship as mother and daughter. I really do want the best for you. I want you to be safe. I want you to be happy. I want you to be healthy. And I want you to understand that you are a victim of the last 5 years. And it's going to be hard for you to truly heal from what has occurred unless you know the full truth of what has occurred. So I just want you to know that I love you, I miss you, and I want you to have a very happy 19th birthday. In every single one of my classes today, I worked into my lecture that today's assignment was due at midnight tonight. And then I said, today happens to be my oldest child, Ariana's birthday. She turned 19. So happy birthday, Ariana. And wouldn't you know it, all 6 of my classes of high schoolers said, happy birthday, Ariana, in response. Obviously, I can't record that type of stuff, but my students were very happy to wish you a happy birthday, even though they don't know you. So just know that I do talk about you all the time. My students know about you guys. So that's something that hopefully in time will become a healing conversation for us.
We want to thank everybody that has watched or been watching or will watch the video or listen to the podcast. It takes a lot out of us sometimes when we do these podcasts. I know more so probably for Heather. This is a lot of emotional content that usually after these podcasts, Heather just sort of collapses in a ball on the couch and can't do much for a little bit.
It is incredibly
so
healing,
we fully understand.
healing.
We fully understand. It is hard for some people to tell their stories. It took Heather years to be able to get to the point where she's actively able to publicly tell her story. Talking to
and you know who really put that fire under my ass? Dave Weigel and his psychological permission giving with his project, the Family Court Fraud Warrior Project, and get your 3 to 5 minute video out there. It was like a psychological permission. It is okay to tell your story. You are not alone.
So with that, again, we want to thank everybody that has watched, will watch, or will listen to this podcast. This is the Heather's podcast, the Justice for the Serlick Children podcast, where she tells her story and what's going on with her case. We also, I know we've been telling everybody for a while, but I promise the episodes are coming. Heather,
you just got your podcast logo.
Yeah, so
today.
we talked about it before. I had ordered a logo sign for the podcast. It just came today. It's not quite what I expected because I expected the lights to be attached to it, but apparently I have to do that separately.
No.
My podcast is the Support Isn't Silent podcast. It focuses on telling the stories of those that support victims of the family court and domestic violence issues. Because those of us, we're not actively involved in the actual court proceedings in most cases, but we're there holding you. We're the shoulder to cry on. In some cases, we're the ones that are financially supportive, emotionally supportive. And so my podcast is focused on telling those stories and sharing that side of things. And then Heather, your other podcast,
Disrupt the Corrupt. And I was called a disruptor on Sunday. I was told by I'm not going to say the person at this time.
He was a state of Florida House representative
and said I'm being disruptive with my protesting and my emails.
So the craziest part, I'm doing exactly
what I'm supposed to be doing.
I do want to point out something. In part of that conversation you had with that person, this conversation happened while you were at church, and this person basically told you, "Don't protest, just be quiet. God will take care of it."
Yeah.
Now, where I'm sitting, I'm thinking you're in church. You were connected with this person at church. This person is potentially in a position of power to actually be able to help do something. maybe that was God trying to help.
Right? Maybe. I've said this before. By the way, everyone, this is Willow. So this is actually Ariana and Bianca's emotional support cat that I got them in 2019. And Ariana named her. So her name is Willow. So Ariana, if you ever watch this is your Willow. Anyways, yeah, I have mentioned previously, I'm gonna put her down because she's gonna keep bumping the microphone. But I had mentioned previously, I am a firm believer that regardless of what you believe in, whether you're religious or not, God, fate, universe, whatever, there is a stronger power out there. And the universe, God, fate puts people in your life for a reason. Pete was put in my life for a reason. I was put in Pete's life for a reason. We both know that. We pretty much recognized it from day one that the universe kind of literally put us in front of each other
And
2 years ago.
We both help each other on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We
way a
both make
relationship
each other's
should
lives
work.
better. So
Yeah. So, I when I realized who was sitting behind me, and I went up to him after watching him for probably a good 10 minutes talking to others. So it's not like I jumped out of my chair and ran over to him. I was literally sitting there observing him and his body language and seeing how open he was to people coming up to him and talking to him. And when I recognized that he was being friendly and nice and kind, I finally, stepped up and introduced myself to him, asked for his business card. He was very kind in listening to me, and asked me to email him with solutions to, the problem that I'm having. And I got a very good feeling about him. I felt that God put us in the same room together for a reason. And then what happened this Sunday, where I did not actively seek him out, he saw me and stopped to talk to me.
At some point in the intervening time, I guess because he had connected with you on Facebook, he saw the protest pictures, or somebody pointed it out to him.
He mentioned the protests, and that's when he said, "You're being disruptive."
And you never tagged him in any of the protest photos, right? So this is just he saw the post, and then he untagged you, and he told you, don't ever take his picture again. You don't ever have his permission to post a picture. Well, here, news flash for you.
Public servant.
It's the First Amendment, freedom of the press. When you're a public servant and you're out in public, anybody can take your picture. Anybody can post it anywhere. You don't really have rights to your likeness when you're out in public
lose those
like that.
Rights the moment the public starts paying you to represent them.
So I jokingly told Heather, well, whenever we see him out in public again, I'm just going to make it a game to take his photo. So we'll see what happens with that. But we're over an hour now, so I do we'll sign off. So again, thanks everybody for watching. My name is Pete. I support Heather in all that we do together. And this is the Justice for the Serlick Children podcast.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching and listening tonight. Again, Ariana, happy birthday. I hope your night is a good one and your day was blessed. Love you.